Today I'm going to be changing all the oil and liquids in the Troopy, and I'm going to explain why I brought one of these and not a new one. Oh God. Oh, we don't need to look at that. So if you didn't watch the previous videos, we use the Sakura oil filters. So this comes in a kit. So they'll do the two fuel filters and the oil filter and the air intake. So pretty good. And these are about half the price than anywhere else. So we'll start off with the fuel filters. So one of the really cool things is in the last video, someone left a comment saying we should actually unbolt these filters and it'll make it easier to actually take these off. So before I do that, I'm supposed to crack the nut underneath first before we take it out. It's still going to get diesel everywhere, but it's a little bit easier than trying to get your fingers right in there. If you got any other better ideas, happy to hear them. There we go. For some reason, most of the time, they always forget about this tiny little round ring at the top that you're supposed to put in there. But this is definitely a lot easier. It took me much longer than it should have to get this top piece off, but I actually needed to use a wrench to get it off. I have no idea who did this last, but with a piece of plastic, you don't need to tighten it that hard. Like, hand tight is more than enough, because you might end up cracking the whole piece of plastic. So while the oil is draining, I'll just explain why a 21-year-old Troopy and not a new one. Well, there are a few reasons. The main one being is I wanted a project car, and yes, I could have just got a new 78 just for that reason, but there are a few other things. I love the old shape of these. The whole front looks so much better in my opinion. The new one still looks good, but I prefer the old shape. And I wanted a car that I couldn't really wreck. So something that I could learn on. Like, I'm thinking that I'll actually repaint this in the future and I want to do it myself. So if it turns out terrible, it's not going to be like it's the end of the world. And also being an older car, if it does get scratched, dents in it, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's not like I'm going to be destroying a brand new car. But in saying that though, I definitely don't want to wreck this and I do want to look after it so it can keep going for another $500,000. Once again, using everyone's favourite. Replacing 1 litre of engine oil. With the diff, what I like to do is take the top plug off first. That way I know that I can actually refill it before taking off the bottom one, because you take the bottom one off, you're going to lose all the oil. So at least if you take the top one off and it comes off, and then you can't get the bottom one off, you can still put the top one back on and then still drive somewhere. Alright, sometimes you need to use your feet. Oh, there we go. I either got it unloose or I snapped the bolt. Alright, the bolt's still there, which is a great sign. And it's turning. Got a fair bit of sludge around the end of the plug, but hopefully, if I feel it, there's no metal chunks at all. I definitely recommend using a torque wrench, but I don't have one, so really sort of decently tight, not ridiculously tight. And if it keeps leaking, then I can just tighten it up again a little bit more until it stops. If you're going to be doing this yourself, it is 100% worth getting one of these little pumps. It makes life so much easier. I'm pretty sure these diffs take about 2.5 litres, maybe even 3 litres. So it's definitely worth getting a 4 litre bottle. And I think that's done it. I'm going to skip over the gearbox just because it's the same filling method as the diffs. Why should you change all your oils? Well, unless you have receipts, you really don't know when your oils have been changed. But even then, I still like to change them myself just to make sure that the correct oil is being used and to check that if there's any potential problems, like a bit of steel somewhere where it shouldn't be. It's definitely worth doing because as long as you keep checking your oils and keeping up your maintenance, these things will last hundreds of thousands of kilometers more. I'm changing the coolant. As you can see, it's got no color, so I'm worried they've just filled it up with tap water. That drain plug is out, barely coming out, so I'll just open up the top radiator cap so it relieves the pressure. Now it's going everywhere but in the bucket. It looks like it's pretty much just water, so lucky for that, I guess. At this point, if I was just going to be swapping over the engine coolant, I'd pretty much just start filling it back up now with the new stuff. But because I'm going to be doing an engine flush and clean, I'm going to put in this radiator flush fluid. You use the whole bottle usually. Then I'm going to fill it up with normal tap water, and it doesn't really matter. There's no point wasting demineralized water at this point because it's just going to be flushed straight back out after I run this. Now, I don't know how necessary this is going to be because it came out pretty damn clean, and also it's had a new radiator put in the front of it. So I'll be surprised if this stuff actually comes out dirty again. In the workshop manual I have, it says run the car at about 2000 RPM, but because it's cold, I'm just going to push it up to about 1000, and we'll see how that goes for about 10 minutes. We also want to turn the aircon over to heat, so that way when the engine heats up, it'll open up the valve to let the liquid flow through the heater core. And there we have it. That was 10 minutes, so everything feels nice and warm. So definitely got up to temperature. The little gauge said it was nice and good. So they did say on the bottle if it was really dirty, you can let it run for like 20 minutes. But at today's fuel prices, I think I might want to just keep it at 10. Now that it's all warmed up, we're going to wait for it to cool down, and then we can empty out the water again. I didn't end up flushing the system straight away like you're supposed to. I left it in there for about 12 hours because I just couldn't be bothered doing it in the dark. So hopefully there hasn't been any problems by leaving it that long. Still coming out clean as. Now I'm going to finish the flush off with a garden hose. I'm going to connect it to the heater pipe going from the motor to the heater core, and I'm going to hook a hose to that and just flush it out. And that should get rid of all the leftover coolant flush. So this next bit's going to be a little janky. I've just got an end of the garden hose. I'm just going to hold that and pretty much against that pipe and see how we go, and just let that flush through. Alright, I'm surprised it's not going everywhere, so that's working really well. And it is flying out the bottom, and it's still coming out nice and clear. I thought it changed colour a little bit for a second, but no, it's still coming out really good. And also I'm going to do the reverse side as well. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to do it. Now that worked out surprisingly well. So really happy with that. Now before I fill up the radiator, I'm going to remove the coolant bottle off the side and just give that a quick wash, and you can see it actually came out with some different coloured water this time, so that was definitely worth doing. Time to fill up with coolant. I'm using a concentrate, so that means I do 50% concentrate and then 50% demineralized water. Any brand will do as long as it's demineralized, so it will stop any minerals getting in there. Didn't have a funnel, that's why I'm using a watering can. It's clean anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now that's filled up as much as I can. I'm going to run the motor for a bit, and it should suck the rest through the system. And with that, all my main maintenance jobs are finally finished. I can finally start modifying this. So if you're interested, please subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.